So I'm Soren from uCommerce. As some of you will know, I am the founder of uCommerce. So hopefully I should be able to sort of give you the whirlwind tour of the new integration with Umbraco 7. Before I do that, I just want to give you a quick overview of what uCommerce actually is, just to remind you or to show you for the first time if you haven't seen uCommerce before. So my background is in e-commerce. I've been doing e-commerce for 10 years prior to doing e-commerce here. And e-commerce is basically the e-commerce platform I wanted for myself back when I worked as a consultant. Today, now that we have the platform, I can't actually use it because now we're a product company, not a consultancy anymore. So we are actually quite unique in the Umbraco space in the sense that we are making a living from doing packages for Umbraco. uCommerce is made up of a bunch of foundations. They are sort of the core capabilities of uCommerce. Each will address different types of domains inside e-commerce. We have built a product information management system, basically a way to manage all your products. So all the products in uCommerce, as you may know, sits outside of Umbraco. They sit in a separate database that is specially designed for dealing with product information around the workflow and also the capacity. So it means that uCommerce will actually hold quite a high number of SKUs here. We have a catalog management capability to slice and dice products into different segments and ranges. So it means that if you're doing international sales and you want to sell products in different regions, in different markets, you can actually go and split up your ranges. So if for a catalog for the US, you would have one set of products. Maybe you'd share some of those products with the European catalog and so on and so forth. You can do multi-channel as before, and of course we some multiple stores, so you can go and create multiple websites with different stores associated with it. And of course we leverage all the capabilities of Umbraco 7 to do all this. So one of my favorite new things in Umbraco 7 is the fact that MVC is now the default for building sites, which means it's actually a little easier to get started with something like uCommerce than it was before. It requires a little less legwork. We do social commerce as we did before, so you can do product ratings, reviews, all that good stuff. And of course, we still do order management, again, just updated to Umbraco 7 so you get a sense of what that would look like. Marketing for discounts, banners, ads, all that good stuff. And of course, integration with other systems via the APIs that we expose for all aspects of uCommerce. They are the same as for Umbraco 6. And of course, via uConnector, our integration platform. And finally, the search engine that was introduced back in V4 of uCommerce. So of course the magic happens in Umbraco and all the sort of the tie-ins that we can do with Umbraco. Today, with the Razor being default, it's actually quite a nice fit between Umbraco and uCommerce. So the APIs that we created are very well suited for doing MVC type scenarios and also inline Razor scripts, as we're going to see. But before we actually go into demo, I just want to talk about framework first, so you sort of get a sense of the way that we built uCommerce both for Umbraco 6 and 7. Some of you may know that this is the way that we go about building software. The idea is to use concepts like dependency injection and version of control to build a sort of a flexible architecture that is customizable to your client's needs. So the idea is to create a series of lean frameworks that you can use, plug into, and replace our functionality. And indeed, you will be using the same frameworks as we do to deliver features out of the box. What it means at the end of the day is that the features that you create using uCommerce and framework first will actually look and feel as native features inside the platform. Good. So let's jump into the demo. I hope it wasn't too many slides there. I do have one more, but that'll be very quickly done. So I'm going to jump into our demo site. Actually, let me do a little bit of plugging for the demo site. So we wanted to create a series of demo sites for you guys so you have an easy time of looking something up in uCommerce. If you need to show something to your clients, you can just go to demo.ucommerce.net, and there you'll find links for both for the front end for Avenue Clothing and also for the back end on Umbraco 6 and Umbraco 7 and also on Sitecore if you need that. So let's just go to the front end and start with Avenue Clothing. A lot of you are probably familiar with Avenue Clothing here. I know Dima's on the call here who did a Russian version of it almost. It's very cool. I show it off every chance I can. But Avenue clothing from Umbraco 7 is exactly the same Avenue clothing that you know from Umbraco 6. We didn't have to change anything. The reason for that is that we did everything in Razor to begin with, so you can just take it, run with it, and you will be immediately familiar. So it still has all the features that you would expect. The faceted search engine is right there. The JavaScript APIs work the same as before. Checkout, payment, all those things, including predictive search. So it is still a package that you will install on top of Umbraco and Umbraco and uCommerce, sorry, and it'll just work. The code is also available on Bitbucket. So if you need to go and customize any of that, if you want to sort of see how everything is done, you can go and find that on Bitbucket by searching for uCommerce. You want the one with our logo on it. So there's a bunch of forks of that. So you just want that one there, uCommerce Razor Store. That's the one for Umbraco. Good. So let me jump into, so this is actually, you'll notice up here that it says umbraco.ucommerce.net. That's because I'm actually showing Avenue clothing in Umbraco 6, but let me just show you just that I'm not lying. It's actually working on Umbraco 7 too, and it is actually the same thing. So works in exactly the same fashion. Okay. Good. So now let's jump into where it gets really interesting, because of course there's access to the backend of Umbraco on this demo site too. What happens is that we have pre-filled the login for the site, so you can just log in. So let's take a look at that. So Umbraco 7, probably seen that before. This is Umbraco 7.1, I think, something like that. These nodes here are installed with Avenue clothing like before, so you'll have a full site up and running, so you can see how that would work. We want to migrate this to full MVC at some point, but right now it is still using inline Razor. The reason for that is that it will work readily with both Umbraco 6 and 7, so and also 4. So there's no really so we want that backwards compatibility, but we would like to see sort of a more feature complete MVC-based package there. You'll notice here our icon here, and you're probably wondering why it's not white like the rest of it, but we actually tried to create a version of it that would highlight. So you can see here when I move my mouse over the thing here, the icons will sort of become more light in color. And we couldn't actually make that work with the first versions of Umbraco, so we just went with our default colors for now. So just in case you were wondering. When I click here, you'll get access to uCommerce in Umbraco 7. And you may be wondering why we kept the colors around here too, when the media section, for example, is completely black and white. The reason is that for uCommerce from Umbraco, we have to keep everything inside one app. So that means that our trees will typically deal with a lot of different node types. So if you made everything black and white, it would be pretty difficult to sort of distinguish between the elements. So we decided to keep everything in color. So a catalog navigation, for example, will be very similar to your content section here because it sort of carries around the icons that you would like. Other than that, you'll notice that when you click in on the different nodes here, you will get sort of the same look and feel that you get in Umbraco 7. You'll have the headers up here where you can go and modify things as you would expect, including all the nice feedback. So all that remains unchanged. And indeed, you get sort of nice sort of previews for when things are loading and things like that. I would like to point out that now that Umbraco 7 has these lists, that we've actually had them since 1.0. Just saying. We completely agree with the fact that that's there. All of the capabilities that you know from previous versions of uCommerce are exactly the same as you would expect. We have plugged in all of the new Umbraco stuff. We're now interacting back and forth with the trees here. One of the things that we've created as part of this work here is actually a dynamically loaded catalog picker here, and you'll see more to this guy as we move forward. The idea is that we want to be able to expose all of the data that we have inside uCommerce as these trees, so sort of like what Umbraco does. And what we want to use this for is to create a series of data types for Umbraco 7, specific to Umbraco 7, where you can actually start to pick any item that you have inside uCommerce. So anything in the catalog tree, stores, catalogs, categories, products, price groups, anything you can imagine we'd like to be made pickable, and so you can add it to content nodes here, so you can start to create some richer interactions between uCommerce and Umbraco. Oh yeah, one other thing, that now that everything is Angularified, you'll notice that we're actually keeping state here, so it doesn't actually collapse when you move back and forth between sections. That was actually quite a nice surprise to see that working. Let's look at some of these things here. Still the same. You can go and edit orders like you could before. Discount, shipping. We created a new payments tab here where you can go and see all the payments associated with your order. Payments can be mixed and matched, so you can have credit card payments, cash payments, all those things on one single order. So making that fairly easy to work with. Let me show you real quick the developer approach here, so you get a sense of how that works. So going to scripting here, one of the cool things is that when you create a new template, you can actually start to write Razor code right there inside the template. So let me go and do that. So you don't actually have to go and create a bunch of macros if you don't need them. So let's just create a new view like that. And you can see here, rather than this being user controls and things like that, the good old fashioned code style, it's now fully MVC, and that means that you can go and start to use the uCommerce APIs right here without actually creating more stuff than you need. So now we can actually go and say, well, load up the current basket, for example, like so, var basket equals transaction library. So these are again the same APIs as you used to. Grab the purchase order and you're good to go. So quite a nice thing. It does mean that that our masterclass is a lot faster to get through because we don't have to do so much clicking anymore. Okay. Is there any questions for from Umbraco 7 in particular? Otherwise, I'll move on here. Seems like there might not be. Now, one of the cool things about the way that we have done uCommerce is the fact that we can still release uCommerce for all versions of Umbraco. So even though version 6 here of uCommerce is working inside Umbraco, I can actually show you some of the new things that happened for Umbraco 6 if you're still stuck on the old version. It is interesting to see that something that was cool a few months ago is now completely legacy. So here is our old friend Umbraco 6. And I want to show you the new version of uCommerce in here too. So of course you have all the same trees that you have before, but we have actually been able to backport some of the things that became available inside Umbraco 7. My favorite version of that is that header up here, that you can now go and edit names of things right here as you would expect. As part of that same model as what you see in Umbraco 7. One of the models here one of the things that really annoyed me back in the older version was the fact that when you're looking at a node in Umbraco, you can't really see what you're currently editing. It's not obvious unless you look here to the left in the tree. You can't see what this one actually is without looking over here. And for us, that's especially a problem because we do not represent everything in the tree here. Sometimes we will have nodes that are only available as part of a list in here, like you see in Umbraco 7 today. So if you're looking at a product, for example, it will not actually have a corresponding node here. So you basically lose track of, when you click here, what you were actually looking at. But when I click on it here now in Umbraco 6, you'll notice that it will have this header up here, as you can see. You can go and change it, so you'll always know what you're actually editing. So it's a small thing, but it's something we're able to carry on back. All right, good. So I wanted to talk about a few other things that we're working on, so you got to get a sense of where we're headed with the next version. And from there, I'll open up the floor for a Q&A if you have any questions you'd like to ask. So first up, one of the things that we introduced rather recently for paying customers is a new concept to help people along to create better e-commerce solutions. So let me just find the slides again here. And it's not actually a feature of the products per se, but it is a feature of uCommerce. We call the concept a uCommerce body. So it's not a thing in the product; it's a person here. The idea behind the uCommerce body system was to introduce a way to help you guys out when you're doing products or projects on uCommerce and Umbraco. So what we've done is that whenever you start out a new e-commerce project on a paid version of uCommerce and we get the license settled, we will assign a uCommerce body to the project. So that would be a developer from the product team that will work with you guys throughout the implementation of your product. The uCommerce body is basically your technical liaison on the team here at uCommerce. So always know who to approach if you have questions, if there's something you need, the uCommerce body is your go-to guide to do that. Of course, we still have the starter packs as always, so you can engage with us inside during the project if you want us to be more hands-on during the project, if you need us to do reviews or sparring or something like that. But the uCommerce body is really something I'm quite fond of because it will sort of give you more opportunities to interact with us and we can get some more feedback from you guys. The last thing I wanted to talk about is the roadmap. So right now we're working on Umbraco, not Umbraco 7. We are already working on that. We're working on uCommerce 7, so the next version of uCommerce. And the major thing there that we're trying to do with that is we want to make it much more speedy out of the box. Today you can create high performance websites and stores with Umbraco and uCommerce as it stands. But for uCommerce, at least, you have to be very careful of how you use the APIs. If you do custom queries, if you use the link APIs from uCommerce to create stores, you can certainly get done. But you need to know what you're doing to make them perform properly. Even though we do caching and things like that, your initial query might be slow if it has to do a lot of stuff. So to alleviate to alleviate that performance issue there, the potential bottleneck, what we're doing is we're transitioning all of the APIs in uCommerce to a search-driven architecture. So what it basically means is that if you have been working with Umbraco and using Examine as the sort of the way to present data to customers, that will effectively become the same model for uCommerce. We're going to use RavenDB, the search engine that we introduced in uCommerce 4 for this, but the idea is to basically publish all the product information like Umbraco does into their XML file. We'll just publish it to RavenDB, and every call against the API will go to Raven rather than SQL Server, and that has really significant performance improvements and characteristics as an effect. It also means that searches and things like that will just become an intrinsic part of the API, a little like it is today with facets, but it will become the underpinning of the entire front-end experience. What we're seeing right now on prototypes on this is that we're going from a few seconds, a couple of seconds response times on sometimes types of pages down to milliseconds, and that is without actually optimizing with new indexes as Raven would require. So in the future, you can look forward to just having really, really speedy sites out of the box. And if you do custom queries, you'll still maintain the same speediness there. So I hope that makes sense. So that was the very quick walkthrough of uCommerce from Umbraco 7. It is basically the same uCommerce that you know and love, but it has been updated to Umbraco 7. One of the things you'll be wondering about is that the fact that we still carry around the old buttons here. And what we've done there is that we're sort of transitioning uCommerce to Umbraco 7 in stages. So we wanted to get out a version of uCommerce that works with Umbraco 7 as quickly as possible. And that's what we've done here. We will actually maintain this strip of buttons here going forward, but the buttons will actually be relevant to the individual tabs up here. So if you have something more complicated like a product, you will have operations that make sense only on the individual panes here, like related products. If you want to create a related product, that's not really a global operation for a product. It just relates to this particular piece of UI. Whereas the save and delete buttons, they are a global operation and they belong more up here. So we're going to start transitioning that over so you get an even better UI model as we go forward. Okay, so that is basically all the things that I wanted to show you today. If you have any questions, let me know in chat and I will unmute the person so he can ask his question and we'll go from there. So just let me know. And when I'm looking over there, I'm just sort of looking at the list. So just shoot, fire away, and I will drink my coffee while I wait. Oh yeah, while we wait, one more thing. I'm wondering how many of you are going to Code Garden this year. Probably a few of you are. We are doing, if you want some hands-on with a uCommerce trainer, you can actually get that free of charge at Code Garden this year, or before Code Garden rather. What we're doing is on the 10th of June, the day before Code Garden, we're doing a free workshop, a one-day workshop that starts sort of at 11ish to get you a chance to fly in. And what we're doing there is basically we're working with Umbraco 7 and uCommerce to build some of the things that we usually do during our masterclass. So if you want to attend that, I have a URL that you can look at while you consider your questions, and that will contain a sign-up link for that workshop. We have a limited amount of space, so if you're planning on attending, just be as quick as possible signing up, and we'll have a lot of fun there. Get a lot of hands-on with MVC, Umbraco 7, and uCommerce for Umbraco 7. All right, so if there are any questions, just shoot them off in chats. I will stick around for, let's say, 3 minutes more. If we don't get a question within that time, we'll just end it for today. And I'd like to say thanks very much for your time. Okay, it looks like everything is clear as day, so I'll let you guys go. Remember, CG14 workshop at Bitly. You can get some hands on there. If you want to have a play with uCommerce from Umbraco 7, remember the URL demo.ucommerce.net to find all the demo sites. And if you find yourselves in a situation where you feel like uCommerce might be the thing for your project, but you're not quite sure, just bear in mind that we do Q&As all the time. So if you need sort of a second look at your project, just know that we do these Q&As. You can find the demo troll by scrolling down a little bit on the site, and you can get that Q&A here. Excellent. Good. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure to show you the new stuff that we have in uCommerce 6 from Umbraco 7. Lots of numbers, I know. And from here, we'll just improve more and more as we go forward. And if you have any questions, any sort of things that you need from us, just use my email here to get in touch, and I will do my utmost to help you. Thank you for today. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to speak to you soon. Bye-bye now.